Today, I'm going to show you how to turn random hand percussion samples like this into an evocative, exciting string instrument like this. Today, I'm going to show you how you can make your own physical modeling instrument in Ableton Live. Now, Live actually includes two physical modeling synthesizers, collision and tension. So you might be thinking the obvious question, if there are already two physical modeling synthesizers in Live, why do we need to make our own? And to actually answer that question for you, I need to explain to you briefly what physical modeling synthesis is attempting to achieve. So physical modeling synthesis, otherwise known as Corpus-Strong synthesis, is a type of synthesis that is meant to mimic the acoustic behavior of physical objects. And it does so specifically by using algorithms to mimic the properties of two types of objects, exciters and resonators. Here's an easy example to help you understand the roles of exciters and resonators in physical modeling synthesis. So if I pluck a string with my hand on an acoustic guitar, my hand is acting as the exciter, and the string is acting as the resonator. When the string is plucked, it begins to vibrate back and forth rapidly, and that creates resonance, which is the sound that we are hearing. Similarly, I could change the sound of the resonator by dampening the strings with my hand or a cloth. By changing the way that I played the instrument, I changed its sonic properties. Physical modeling synthesis achieves the same result, but algorithmically. Now with collision and tension, the two physical modeling instruments built into Ableton Live, the choice of exciter and activator is predefined for you. Now don't get me wrong, you have near infinite possibilities with how you define those conditions of playback, but I'm a fan of having some more options. And to do that, we're actually going to take advantage of an audio effect and turn that into an instrument. And if you've watched my channel for any time, you know that I kind of have a penchant for taking audio effects and turning them into instruments. So today's tutorial then is going to center around Corpus, which is essentially a resonator as audio effect. It does not have an exciter built into it, and so it isn't an instrument by default. However, we can bring our own exciters to the party and create our own instruments as a result, like the one that you heard at the top of this video. Now, if you'd like the exact instrument that I'm using as the example for this video, you can download it directly from my website. It's also a part of my new Total Bundle, where you can get it and all of my other Ableton Live presets at a hefty discount compared to buying them individually. The link is in the description, and it's the absolute easiest way you can support what I'm doing on this channel. So without further ado, let's break down the endless string. So let's start first with just the macros on the device itself, and then we're going to expand the device and understand how it is constructed. So they are color-coded to signify grouping of function. So we have 3 exciter controls, we have 2 resonator controls, we have some filter controls, some spatial controls, and we have an amp control. The exciter has a number of properties that we can change. So if I just go ahead and hit play with what I would consider pretty much default settings here, we hear some resonance. We also hear the exciter. Now, if I increase the decay on the exciter, we're really going to hear the samples that I'm using to excite Corpus. And now if we expand the instrument, we see various racks nested in the parent rack that correspond to the macros. So let's start first with the exciter. Let me go ahead and hit play so we can just hear the exciter in and of itself. So I am using multi-sampling and specifically round robin. I'm not going to go over round robin because that was the topic of last week's video, so I'm going to link it in a card above. I'll also put it in the description below. But I have a number of percussion samples that I just recorded with hand percussion that I have, and I went ahead and just arranged them in sampler. So let's listen to each of them. Now, beyond the samples and the round robin feature, I am using the pitch oscillator in Sampler to introduce noise to the signal and increase the amount of excitation that it is producing. Now, I've got a little bit of a long attack on the envelope so we can still get the transient from the percussion. However, introducing this noise adds a lot of extra energy. Here it is without the noise exciter. With the noise exciter, we can regain some of the original signal if we begin to crank up the decay, which will play the entire length of the sample. Now, the final piece to understanding what's happening with the exciter is this frequency random control, which corresponds to this MIDI note randomizer rack that is nested at the front of the device. If I expand that, we can see there's just two instances of the random MIDI effect that as I bring it up, it increases the chance that the incoming MIDI note will actually go to a different pitch before moving into Sampler. So let me just crank this up and we can hear that. Now, to ensure that we're maintaining a relatively average volume coming out of the exciter, as well as ensuring that the signal is full of detail, I finished the exciter chain with just an instance of OTT. Now, if I engage the resonator, that's where the instrument starts to come together. And so if we expand it, it's really just an instance of Corpus. So in this main view here, you are going to select the type of resonator that is being modeled from this dropdown. Each of them have their own unique properties, and as a result, there are various controls down here that will become active or inactive depending upon the type of resonator that is being modeled. Now, what's most relevant to what we are doing here today is what's hidden behind the sidechain parameter toggle. This allows us to route MIDI into Corpus, which will then set the tuning for the resonator. And that allows us to turn Corpus into an instrument. And so I just have selected this track that has this instrument rack on it, and I've ensured that we are getting it pre-effects. I just want to get the MIDI signal before any processing. And so this is what allows me to add in some additional notes here. And Corpus will then, in real time, adjust the tuning of this resonator. Now, if we scroll back over to the parent rack, what I have assigned to the macros are two properties of the string that are being modeled. What I have labeled string tone is the hit control, and the hit control is just calculating where on the modeled string is it being struck. At 50%, the string is being struck dead middle. However, we can move left or we can move right on the string, depending upon the percentage that we place this toggle at. Now, if you've ever played a guitar or a string instrument, you know that the tone will change depending on where you strike the instrument. So let's listen to it dead middle at 50, and then at 100%, at 0%. You can use this then to define the tone of your instrument. And in addition, we have string decay. And so when the value is placed very short, we have an almost pizzicato or plucked kind of sound. And quite long, it's very flowy and can almost feel synth-like. So this filter allows us to change the overall sound of the output once we have taken into account the tone of the string and the length of its decay. And so if I decrease the band size, this is where we're going to get more selective and we're going to hear the filter in a more pronounced fashion. So even just sweeping that bandpass filter, we have very, very different sounding instruments. Up here, it sounds almost Kodo-esque. And down here, it almost sounds like a plucked violin. If you were, to pluck that violin by pinching it with a bunch of tiny bits of hand percussion, but you get the idea. And then finally, I have a really simple rack set up here to just add a little bit of reverb and filter delay to get a sense of space. And that, coupled with the pan randomization, which you find in Sampler, can really create this magical sense of place. And so if we return to the example from the beginning of this video, we can see that just by changing these parameters, there are near endless possibilities with the sound of the instrument that you can model. All you're hearing here is the instrument rack as designed, and then just a little bit of compression from Glue Compressor here. Let me play it for you in isolation so that you can really follow the changes in these macro parameters while it's being played. And let me play it for you once more in context. Just to note, most of the instruments that are accompanying the endless string are also found in my total Ableton preset pack, which you can grab them all from the link in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you would like to pick up this exact instrument as well as a number of my other presets, you can grab my total preset pack from my website. You can find it at the link in the description. It is the fastest and easiest way to support what I'm doing here on this channel. As always, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment if you enjoyed this video. I'm working really hard to try to grow this channel by 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and your support means a lot. Till next time.